ideal world, I'd love to tell you that everything is fine and fantastic, but I've been avoiding War Thunder as much as possible due to the fact that, well, the game just feels stale. We're in between updates once every couple of months, and the hype cycle that generates out of new news or speculation about what is to come in the next patch really drives this community to a bit of a frenzy. Seems to be one of the only few games that really you come to expect that kind of fruition. At least people data mining, then posting leaks, and then having leak lists and hyping up, and it boils to a point where then everybody watches the developer broadcast, and then the content creators produce dev server videos, and then update release happens, and you get a couple of videos out of it, and then all the hype dies away, and everyone goes back to insulting War Thunder and complaining about its various problems. I'm just so sick of that cycle. So I've been avoiding this game as much as bloody possible. And for good reason, too. We're coming up on War Thunder's 10th anniversary for the publication of this game, which is a fantastic achievement. The fact that this game's been going for 10 years is a bloody testament to how well you guys can play and obviously keep the community going. There's a lot of positive things to look at in that aspect, but there's also a lot of hearsay. And I just haven't been feeling the game. Combined with the recent economy nerfs, the grinding for things is a pain in the rear, and it just isn't the same as it once was back when we started the game. Granted, I have one goal in this entire video game, to have all of the aircraft. That whether it be rare, or whether it be a premium vehicle, whether it would be something that is unlockable, I'll try and get my hands on them as much as possible. But the first goal is to get all of the unlockable tech tree vehicles, and I'm about 6 or 7 away at the time of recording this from completing the Israeli tech tree. Out of the 700-ish aircraft you can unlock in this game, I'm only down to about 8, which is not a lot, and I just can't be fucked doing any of the grinding. It's understandable with all the recent nerfs to the economy and boosters not being as effective. I miss the days where there's a bit of nostalgia here, where you had the ×5s for the logins, or the ×2s on a daily win, or you had, you know, a ×5 for the country that you played, and you got a win, you got 5 times the bonus, and stuff like that. I miss those kind of days, but again, this isn't the game that it once used to be, and considering that it is 9 years old up until November of this year, when it will be 10 years old, this game is incredibly lucky to keep alive for that long. And it just reeks out to me that the developers of this game have no passion for it anymore. And the advent of Generation 4 and 4.5 jets, as has been confirmed in the Aero article earlier this week, doesn't entice me at all. It makes me excited for new vehicles and possibly new game modes. I don't know, hopefully larger maps and larger mechanics that could come into play, but as an air realistic battles player, it doesn't make me excited for beyond visual range missiles. I don't like the idea of taking off from a runway and instantly getting clapped by an AIM-120. Even if that weren't to happen in War Thunder per se, it probably will happen in the near future. And it just leaves all the older technology to hang in the dust. And that's where the compression and the battle rating changes and the repair costs and all the community complaints come in, and I've just had enough. And when you go look at Reddit, the top page thing will be some controversial action that Ghost Entertainment has done towards the game, and the player base is not happy about it, and everybody does videos on it, and then, you know, we're all up in arms, and then Gajan sweeps it under the rug, and then we continue pretending like this game is fantastic. I just don't understand the community sometimes. There are, like, plenty of other places you can find news-related stuff to War Thunder, because this thing's constantly happening. With the It's Fixed series, at least it is a series dedicated to them bug fixing and changing mechanics and getting feedback on it. It's fantastic. That's a good thing towards War Thunder. However, half the people are not exactly, or at least half the players, are not paying attention to any of these updates. Are going, what is this new orange smoke and ground forces? It's just a complete laughing stock. You guys read the launcher at all? When you hit the play button, do you bother to read any of the patch notes? Because that's where you get most information, and you know, maybe they're counting on people not to read the patch notes or something, because that will allow them to do whatever the hell they want when it comes to economy or any some sort of grind. And of course, with the release of our first dev blog, and then we've got the teasers and the dev stream, the dev server, and all the dev server release and footage and stuff and videos and streams, and then we have a release and then actual content. there's quite a lot to start covering, and it just bogs you down. The whole hype train movement as well just gets in the way of things, and everyone just seems to forget that this game has underlying code issues or might have object collision issues. But the biggest thing that I think is that whoever's the sound engineer for this game does a fantastic job at capturing audio for those individual vehicles, but doesn't make sure that the whole entire game is essentially balanced in an audio fashion. Artillery might be overbearing and plus 60 decibels, meanwhile aircraft and ground forces are obviously deafening that I can't hear my own teammate who I've already boosted up on my external mixer. It's horrific. This game's sound balance is horrible. And that isn't even just talking about the graphics. There is no actual hard limit on frame rate for this game, which can cause problems if you have a high elite system, and in some cases can even cause even worse issues with dealing with ping and packet loss, and the list just goes on. You gotta love it, right? Between the events, the Twitch drops, the BR changes, the economy changes, the Q&As, and just Jesus, there's so many other things as well. When you think about it, the game is publishing a lot of content, and that is very good, but it is killing some of us content creators. It is killing some of the interesting community members. I was talking to a friend on Discord yesterday, and he was like, yeah, I haven't kept up with anything on the forums or anything that War Thunder based because it just doesn't interest me. What happens is now what happens. A lot of other people have been saying the same thing. You know, I work 6 days a week. I don't have time to really screw around and look on the forums for what the newest update is because they've hidden it behind a forum post that you have to log in order to watch or read about, where they've got some poor community manager having to read and just look at all the details and explain in a very convoluted thing that doesn't actually get out to the masses about an important change and, you know, clarifying the comments further. It's just a disappointing whirlwind of just disappointment, and when you look at it further it just gets more and more just depressing, and I hate that. I want to be positive about things, just why I've sort of been distancing myself from the community and all of its problems and obviously updates and things, just because, well, sometimes you need that just bit of distancing. You know, keeping up with everything that goes on with the War Thunder is a bit of a depressing ordeal. Imagine how the developers feel by fucking over the game consistently with ghost shells and other mechanics and FPS drops and all of the other stupid, insidious decisions they tend to make on a regular basis. Now, this isn't an attack of anyone on the team. I have great respect for the marketing managers and the content managers and everybody else there, but, you know, they were players. Many of them understand at least some of the frustrations of being at least a creator of content on the internet, at least a regular player, which is very important too. There comes a time when enough is enough, and I really want to challenge myself to experience things that I haven't this year. Right? Get a nuke, for example, play some more naval and actually do well in helicopters and get some top tier lineups for tanks and have a bunch of fun with that and see what I can do that I haven't really experienced within War Thunder. Play a little more arcade and stuff like that. But then I'll look at the time investment, the amount of hours that I've put into this game, and the amount of effort it takes just to record videos and just put that effort out in order to make yourself sound positive is ridiculous. It's not something I can quantify in a metric. You know, I'm not the most optimistic person as is. You've already made the glass basically empty, War Thunder. So your time is coming when I'm going to shatter that fucking glass and I won't ever come back. I don't really want to be a content creator either. I think I've made my decision. I think I want to diversify into being just someone who uploads occasionally rather than, you know, once a week, once or twice a week, and continues doing this as a hobby. I really don't think that this can be a mainstream job. The income just doesn't line up. I have to be constantly complaining about War Thunder's issues all the time in order to really get any viewership at all. Oh wait, I talk about my mental health issues openly. Boom, 40,000 views. Mind you, go and play a happy game with a bunch of squad mates and have a fantastic time. Ah yes, you're only getting 8,000 views. YouTube, you're fucking strange. This video probably won't do very well either, but at least you know my thoughts. So, moving forward, I have no idea what to do. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Otherwise, I'm Ash. Bye-bye. I need a bloody whiskey.